G'day all you beautiful people of planet Earth, and welcome to episode 15 of Planet Positivity. 37 million channels on YouTube, can you believe that? And of all of them, you've chosen to be here. So thank you. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed, and if you haven't, now's the time to do it. Haven't I got a treat for you this week? There are certain places in the world that I've been to that I wish everyone in the world can experience, even just once, and not everybody has the ability to travel. So the best thing that I can do is to share my experiences with you, and I must say there is so much to love about Prague. I myself had heard very little about it my entire life, and it wasn't until I told some of the teachers that I was working with about this big European trip that I was going on, and one teacher who was in her late 50s said to me, "Are you going to Prague?" And I said, "Yeah, I think it's on the list." And she said, "Oh my God, my biggest dream in life is to get back to Prague. I absolutely fell in love with this place and you will too." And I thought, yeah, okay. Mate, she was 100% right. There are a million reasons to love Prague. So I'm not going to make you wait a second longer. We're going to Prague. I've honestly got that much to say about Prague, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to tell you. All I can say to give you the introduction that Prague deserves, if Austria is your style, your kind of flavor, Prague is like the twin sister. Everything you see, from the buildings and the statues to the art and music, and there's so much medieval history there. It's such an incredible place to go. Prague has to be on your list, and if it isn't, by the end of this episode, I guarantee you it will be. Those who know me well know I'm all about the 4 things that bring humanity together, and probably the greatest introduction I got to a country was in Prague, because I started with the two of the 4 things that bring humanity together. Music and art, which are 2 of probably the most popular ones in all of the world. So we went to a place called, a location, a destination, an Instagrammable favorite called the John Lennon Wall. Obviously has a lot to do with music and art if it's got John Lennon's name on it. The concept of the John Lennon Wall is pretty simple. It's music and art all over one wall. And right at the start, when you arrive, you're bound to see this one particular musician. I thought it was just for us that day, and I thought he might have been a traveller himself. It wasn't until I did some research online about the John Lennon Wall to understand the time period and how long it's been there in history that I actually saw this same guitarist in the photo on the internet, and I thought, this must be how he rolls every single day. And what a place to be. What a thing to do, to introduce a lot of people to Prague, to history, to music, to art. And this wall was like a beautiful rainbow bringing humanity together. Someone in our group was smart enough, 10 points to Teagues, she actually brought a marker so she was able to write a little love letter, leave her mark on this wall. We had our token Canadian took a photo next to someone who'd done the Canadian flag on the wall. It's full of artworks from different people from all over the world for different reasons. A lot of tributes to music and poetry with lyrics written on the wall. But it's just such a beautiful place to go. Somewhere really different, something very unexpected. It's like an interactive Berlin Wall type thing. No matter what time of the day or night that you're walking over the main bridge in Prague, you're bound to see some kind of entertainment. You might see artists, you might see musicians, you might just see people dressed up, but every time I walked over, I noticed something new, and there's so much history in that bridge, and there's so much beauty. Don't get me wrong, the water doesn't look that great. The river itself isn't, I actually thought to myself, if I had more time, I'd definitely like to do like a cruise down this river if it's possible. This is one of a few locations in Europe where I just went rogue, I suppose you can call it. I didn't have a plan, I didn't take a map. A few friends and I just went and started walking around. It's a place that you want to discover on your own as you travel freely and find little beautiful places. The streets are gorgeous. Oh, the buildings. Put your hands up for Prague. I love this city. And we managed to accidentally stumble across a massive walkway that headed to the top of this hilly area. We got a beautiful view over the whole city, and we turned around and saw the castle, and we were just in time for their, parade? I don't know what you call it, and it was such a hot day, and behind us there was a fire truck and the fire extinguisher, and they were just hosing people down, or people were running into it. It was awesome. You know you're a tourist when you're taking photos of everything. Buildings, birds, statues. It's just, there was so much to see, and there was no way for me not to try, to avoid confusing it with all of the other cities in all of Europe, because they all have their own beauty. But I never wanted to forget Prague, so I went camera crazy. One of the coolest parts about Prague is how much of the medieval time period, all the artworks and the sculptures and everything that was kept there. I was so in love with Prague, I didn't want to leave. And knowing that it was my last night, there were two things that I had to do. One was celebrate the medieval history of Prague by doing this awesome medieval dinner. That was awesome. The food was awesome, but the entertainment was so cool. When they bring out a live snake and a chick's getting amongst it and dancing with this snake on her, I love that sort of stuff. I love nature and I love dancing. My two favorite things, plus food. Now I'm really happy. I love that. And if you're in Prague, celebrate the history, because medieval times weren't so great. But the food, the music, the dancing, and the theme to finish a night in an amazing city is definitely the way to go. But I did want the night to end. So, sorry, it's a bit of a rocky kind of exploration today, so camera work is kind of everywhere. Anyway, so when we got back to where we were staying, I decided I'm not going to bed. Not just yet, anyway. And so I went downstairs to the bar and I saw these two guys sitting down. and one of them asked me what I was drinking, and that was it. One guy was Aussie, can't remember his name. Anyway, point of the story, he decided to up and quit his job randomly, kind of just said, hey friends and family, laters, and bought a one-way ticket and started traveling the world. And when I met him, it had been 3 years and he had no plans to return as yet. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, and I gotta be honest, very inspiring. Just the idea that he had no plan, talk about going rogue, and he was just going free wherever he wanted, stayed in every place for as long as he felt necessary, and he wouldn't leave until he felt like, if I never come back here again, I'm all good. So he was sitting with someone, and I love meeting people from different countries. Like, you can't always go to every country, but the next best thing is to meet someone from that country. So randomly on a plane, I meet someone from Zimbabwe. We start talking, I start learning some of the language and a bit about the country. It's incredible. Hang on, it's a bit of a trek, so I'll be back. So after the Aussie and I had our little moment, I started talking to the guy next to him. I can't remember his name, but as a tribute to my editor, I'm just gonna call him Mohammed. Moe was from Egypt, and I said to him, I've never met a traveling Egyptian before, and he was quite young. He was only about 21, and I was like 30. Anyway, he kept asking me, are you going to see Egypt? I said, yeah, one day. And then he told me this story, and after I heard this story, there was no way I'm putting that at the end of my list. I decided then and there that after I return from Europe, the first thing I'm doing is booking the trip for the end of the year, and I wanted to finish the year in Egypt. This story is insane. So a mate of his was a police officer, still is, in Egypt, and his job was to guard one of the tombs. And there was a tomb around there, or a pyramid or something, that people had gone into, and there was one that no one had. And his job was to stand in front of it at all times. And he told this story, and when Moe was telling me this story, he said, I don't believe my friend, but I do know that there's things like this in Egypt. And he said to me, you know how Egypt, everything is a puzzle? And I said, no. And he said, even when you find something buried, it's not buried in one piece. They will cut it into 5 pieces and mix them up. So you have to find something, then uncover it delicately, and then put it all back together to figure out what it is. So I thought, okay, where is this going? And then he said to me, he saw 2 archaeologists and 1 Egyptologist go into this tomb or this pyramid that no one had ever been to before. And he was there overnight. He never saw them come out again. And I was just like, oh, mystery, excitement, adventure. And then he said to me, if you're going to go to Egypt, where do you want to go? And I said, I have to go to Alexandria, because that is where my father was born. And I've had generations of family come from there. I said, of course you got to do Giza and Cairo, but the rest, I don't know. And he said, you want to see it all. I was hooked. And by the time I got home, I'd already booked. What can be greater than traveling the world? Traveling the world while deciding to continue to travel the world and organizing and booking your next adventure. And that's exactly what I did. There's so many things that this country is famous for, particularly this city, and it is the capital of Prague, and with good reason. There is so much to see. There's the Jewish Quarter, there's the John Lennon Wall, there's the bridge, there's the astronomical clock. Oh my gosh. If only it wasn't under construction when I was there. Killed my life. But anyway, I knew what it'd look like, but covered by construction. But this thing is a masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. And it's right in the center of this huge square that's super famous, awesome food. The people are always really happy in Prague. The weather was perfect as well, honestly. Oh, what I would give to go back to this city. I'm even loving the fact that I get to do this episode, because in my mind, yes, I'm walking around in Australia, but in my mind, I'm walking the streets of Prague, and oh my God, it was incredible. Needless to say, I absolutely fell in love with this city, and I did want to have the gratitude for every individual place, but it wasn't until I actually got to Prague that it all just sort of set in. And after we saw the view of the city, we'd walked over the bridge, the main bridge that goes over the, I think it's Vltava, but they just call it like the National Bridge of Prague or something like that. Anyway, we went to this cafe right at the bottom of the city after we'd had this gorgeous walk, saw the John Lennon wall, and we all grabbed a coffee. I had a cappuccino, and I was so overwhelmed with joy and gratitude for the experience that I had to travel to all of these different countries. And like I've said, there were some that I knew about, I was looking forward to, and there seemed to be always on the list, like your Italy, your Greece, your France, your Spain. Prague was not somewhere I ever thought I would go. It's not a country I actually knew anything about, and it just happened to be that this person I worked with was telling me about this city and how much he fell in love with it. And once I was there for myself, nothing could have prepared me for the gratitude. I was so overwhelmed, I had to have a moment. So I'd said to the people that I was hanging out with, just give me a sec, I'm gonna move to a different table so I can have this moment. And I'm looking around at all the people and the workers and the roofs of these cities, and to be honest with you, I started reflecting. And what I realized was, had I not gotten married and ended the marriage, I would never have done this for myself. I never did anything to sort of treat myself. I was always saving and preparing for the future. And it was in the experience of having the marriage end that I thought about my life and what I actually wanted from it. And I wanted to have the experiences that would last a lifetime, memories that I would take with me forever, and see things and meet people and go places and do stuff that I never would have otherwise. And so I couldn't help but cry with gratitude. I was so grateful to the guy that I married for everything that had happened and for everything that he took, because it made me realize stuff doesn't matter and money doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what's important is the life that you live. And I decided that I was going to live mine for myself, by myself. So I went and booked this trip, and never did I ever imagine I would see these gorgeous places, meet these amazing people, and do all of this stuff. So the gratitude that I have and the memory that stays with me the most in Prague is that that was the moment that I realized that even if you live more than once, you want to live your life like you only live it once. And you need to do things to fulfill your heart and develop your soul and evolve your consciousness and just make you happy. And if I haven't shown you enough to make you think, I'm telling you straight, travel is the way to go. Honestly, Prague, I cannot thank you enough. Mwah! Thank you, Prague. Thank you for being the place that I had the gratitude for life, the gratitude for all of the experiences that we go through, the good and the bad, especially the bad, because that's what leads you to more and more good. I have to thank Prague for all of its beauty and its history and the mark it left on me and everybody else I know that has been there. Thank you to the people that did the medieval dinner. That was so cool. Thank you for the John Lennon wall, the place that brings music and art and humanity together as one. There's so many reasons to love that place. There's so many places to see just in this one city. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching till the end, and I'll see you next time. Bye, beautiful people.